Hi guys, Happy Game here, and today I'm going to be talking about like how incorporating backstory into your world creation, not just campaign creation, which I'll be doing on Thursday actually, but that's a bit different. And I'm actually got joined today by my good friend Leif, who's actually the player in the campaign who kind of inspired this. So, do you want to say hi?
Hello, gentle. I am also known as Darius Jonna. I am the incredibly absent-minded person generally. Yeah, that's me.
Okay, I'm going to put my camera as small as possible because I didn't like looking at myself so close up. And we'll
Oh,
just get
your ugly mug is lovely,
straight on.
mate. What are you talking about?
And which view works best? The view with me and you at the side, or just the view of the screen?
Well, really, I don't believe that I can really see that much. I'm doing other things. I'm kind of like on camera, but I can't actually see myself on camera, so I don't really know how it's kind of appearing on the stream itself.
Yeah, I think the view of just the page will be fine because.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that works out. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's get this started. So, as everyone who isn't Leif can see on the, I've actually all I've got is the title at the minute of the document. It was the Habsham Woods, wasn't it? That's what I wrote down.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
remember.
I could.
Yes.
I couldn't read my own writing, so I didn't know whether it's an N or an M. So, but yeah, Habsham Woods. And so the first thing I like to do when I create a location is decide where it is. That's generally the best kind of decide where it is. So so but when you came up with it, where were you kind of imagining it in relation to the Kingdom City? Quite far away, or?
Of it being something that was created like a long time ago, like maybe another like dense area, kind of just like, if we're going to go with the old idea of like olden constructs of how are gather around places of great import or places that are very when I thought of that, it kind of came to the the olden idea of let's go with the old mystical forest, eldritch forest kind of thing, and haunted place. So, basically somewhere where you can ostensibly get as far away from civilization, I think. Yeah. Yeah, that's me.
Okay, so I don't actually have anyone listening. I don't actually have a map of the hand on the computer, so just so you're just gonna take my for it where everything's located. The Kingdom City's generally quite centralized to It's a little further north than central, but quite centralized. So I would say the southwest of Wereldeil, more maybe southwest. So it's quite. That would also be quite. Well, wouldn't quite near because there's a massive sea between them, but like the fire region as well. So, but yeah. So say it's a ancient. Well, I've wrote down just a quick little briefing of the ancient woods where the dead went to rest, kind of thing. That's kind of how you described it to me, where like they led the dead to the yeah.
Yeah.
So
It kind of comes to what you think as being like what is true and what thing. The kind of superstition / belief / old, was that the people of my when they die, they could sometimes get lost, and the Deducii of Wereldeil, I like to call it, are ostensibly able to see into the world of the dead, and they could act as kind of a mixture of druid and grim reaper. Although not very grim, Deducii are generally very happy creatures. I actually take angry. I love. Yeah.
Yeah, they are. They are quite. Yeah, quite creepy, but look quite cool.
I think they're cute.
Yeah, that'll take us. I'll take us straight to like the. I'll just skip straight to like the lore of the region. So as we've just discussed, the Habsham Woods was seen as a residence of the Giratina.
Okay.
Yeah. Within this world, because as we know, he's kind of stuck in anti-space. So he's kind of, this is just kind of a manifestation of him within this world. Kind of, from what you've told me, I've kind of seen like this is this forest is maybe a weak point between anti-space and space. That's the only way I can describe it, really. Space and anti-space. So, and that is kind of why they kind of gathered there, and kind of take the dead, kind of go to that point to pass over to anti-space, which is the land of the dead, pretty much. In my world.
Okay, that's really interesting. So like and stuff, doable. How like one-way street is it? How can people come back from the dead? Are they literally able to like walk out of the anti-world or whatever?
No, there's no just plain walking out of it. As far as people are aware, Giratina is the only one that can pass between, like, freely between them, and even then he's kind of in a weakened state when he comes into the kind of material world. So it's kind of a one-way street, but as I've said to you lot before, you're going to be facing him at some point. So how one way is, I don't know. Which
Well,
means
I
I
know
have to
what I'm
kill you
going
off at
to
one
do
point.
with him. Nah.
Run the other way.
Nah. There's only so many things that you can do with a. But anyway, it's all right.
Wow.
Like
I'll
sort
figure
of
that out.
what brought the idea of kind
No,
of
what we're gonna sorry.
Oh, sorry. What were you going to say, dude?
No,
Just keep
that's
going.
no. I was say about how kind of team's going to come into it in my campaign streams on Thursdays. This is all just about like the world and the backstory to it all and all that.
Okay.
So
that's pimp.
what were you going to say?
I was actually going to ask, like, how did you consider the how did you consider kind of like the world of the dead and that kind of thing, you know, the anti-world or however you'd like to say it. How did you kind of consider it? How did you kind of think of it?
Well, to be honest,
because before I came up with it,
it'd be different. What before you came up with domain as kind of how they just all depicted in the anarch, but you brought this idea, SCGI, take the dead to then Africa. Well, to be a world quite kind of not that real world.
Okay. That's pretty cool.
It's kind of a bit of a rival, so it's anymore. Sorry, I was just having a double check on how to spell Decidui.
D C U I.
Yeah, I've got it now.
I'm a writer, don't you know?
Yep. So am I. I find it easier to spell the made-up words than I do real words, or at least words other people have made up.
Based on anything, are they? Don't sit there and go. Like, oh yeah, you got to remember the kind of systems that exist. So, what other kind of like shaman slash priest of the dead slash whatever you'd call it type Pokemon did you think would also be like involved in this?
To be honest, I haven't really thought about it. That's a good question. I haven't really put much thought. But I imagine that the go. The thing is, I don't see ghost Pokemon as actual ghosts.
Oh,
I
okay.
see that the way I see the world, Wereldeil, is that they don't refer to each other by the types as like we refer to them. I see the types as kind of metagaming categorization. So obviously they'd like see them they'd see them as that. Oh, there's a fire Pokemon. There's a Pokemon that can use fire, and there's a Pokemon that can manipulate nature and so stuff like that. But I imagine like they just see them more as like what they can do rather than like them all as like the see. It's a bit weird because I've already said like the fire Pokemon went into self-exile and like the dragon Pokemon were in charge. So I've already kind of brought those concepts into the world in a way, but I don't think the general population see them as like just one massive tribe as that would dictate them as. But the dragon Pokemon are all lumped together because it was the Dragocracy and the dragon Pokemon were in charge, kind of thing. It was dragon and fire Pokemon in charge, so that's why they're seen as separate.
Okay. So what? Simple. Like, how do the people categorize themselves? Is it like birds and animals and that kind of thing? Because you got lots of birds, you got lots of mice, you got lots of doggos. You got is that kind of how they talk about themselves?
No, it's just really like the species that they are. They kind of see relation between their species and certain other species. So that they're the species that they're closest with. So they don't really have those concepts of birds and dogs and that. They just see like Houndoons and what's the I can't even remember.
What you want another doggo
now?
Growlithe.
Yeah, can them has got that kind of related because they're both similar in build, kind of thing. They both like walk around on four legs and have the same kind of look about them. Although one's a lot fluffier than the other. But
I think
yeah,
what you're trying to say is one is not better than the
other. Well, that's an opinion.
No, it isn't. It's a fact.
Yeah, I suppose a lot of people would agree.
One is better than the other. I will not tell you which.
Better than the other. It's just which one's better than the other is what people argue about.
Yeah, I know. But, one is better than the other. I wonder, if you had the choice, what would be your best Pokemon?
My best Pokemon. That's quite hard. Well, Pikachu's definitely not there. He's just I've not liked Pikachu since Well, since Ash never got rid of him in the first season, I don't know. But Butterfree I quite like.
Mm-hmm.
But I think my favourite would have to be probably either Poliwrath or Primeape. I like both of them.
So your idea of the best Pokemon is an almost literal circle with arms and legs.
Yeah, what's the problem with that?
That's your
Yep. Yeah, little angry circles with arms and legs. That's what they are. But no, I just quite like them. I quite like the designs. I quite like the personalities they're depicted as having. I just like them. My favourites would have to be.
Yeah.
Ooh, that would have to be. I quite like. Which one was it? Wasn't Piplup. Piplup Mudkip. No. The Totodile. That was it. I was going. Yeah, I really like Totodile as a starter.
Yeah, that's not bad. As you can see, I'm judging you in all of your choices. But yeah, no, that's all right. I like that one. I already have my favorite starter. Mareep. I've known it for years.
Mareep's not a starter, you know.
I'm the one with the decaf coffee that tastes nice.
Yeah. Anyway, get back to this, otherwise I'm not going to have anything written. So,
all right.
Anyone's. So I've got the lot was seen. It was seen as a residence of Giratina within the world, a weak point between space and anti-space, which is the land of the dead. The Decidui are kind of the grim reapers of the world, leading the wandering spirits to the gate between the worlds.
Just to be kind of a bit clearer, because I wasn't legitimately thinking that they're seen as like a deep dark, like ugh.
No,
I like to think of them as being more like I like to think that maybe they'd be more like shamans. Yeah, like something like shamans or holy people, or like something like something close, someone who speaks for the dead and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll just write guides to the
guides.
dead.
Yeah, that's actually a good way of thinking of it.
Yeah, they're not. I don't want to call them Shamans because that always reminds me of Shaman King, and yeah, I don't want to imagine a bunch of Decidui all trying to battle out to become Shaman King. Don't want to mix my anime here. God.
The choice. What would you be your favorite Shaman King?
God, I can't really remember the names. So.
No one knows about. Like 3 people know about it, and it's like 6 pages long. Right, that's fair dues.
I do quite like the biker dude, the one with the funny hairstyle.
Oh yeah, the pompadour guy.
Bad guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a name.
Yeah.
His name is now
In his
Biker Guy.
chat. No. But yeah. God, we're getting so off topic. I should.
We're talking about
these
stuff that's
alone.
encouraging thought.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm only joking. I do enjoy your company.
okay, but like, being a bit more serious, because you saying, "Oh, I should do this alone," has made me self-conscious. Like, what in your opinion? What in your opinion is like going to be the benefit of really having this kind of thing? I mean, I know that it's to kind of like include an aspect that makes it a bit more, like, do you want this kind of stuff to be like brought up, like the idea that, you know, my character is like maybe a creature of holy relevance or stuff like that, would only be known by select few? Is it widely known? Like, how do you feel about that?
I imagine it wouldn't be like. Actually, because lore is that this forest was like kind of destroyed a while ago. That's what we were talking about. So, but I imagine the Decidueye would still carry that kind of relevance, that kind of, what's the word?
Yeah.
Kind
something that I kind of to make it. Yeah, something that I kind of wanted to make that. Oh, I'm talking over you, dude. Sorry, there's a bit of a delay, I think.
No, it's fine. Just carry on.
Well, like the thing that I kind of thought of when I was considering like this idea is like, oh, what's this actually all about? It was kind of like this idea that the character that I'm playing is, you know, kind of in a fractious relationship with the rest of their kind or the peoples that they're involved with or whatever, because the people who were involved in the war, they're still kind of very much stuck suffering in that painful circumstance. So the Habsham Wood having been burnt down completely, and then there's the great destruction of that kind of cultural basis or religious connotation or whatever you'd want to call it. You know, that's kind of like a version of it's like a personification of what the Dracocracy has done. And for people who don't know, like the point of it is that the wood just got burnt down by the Dracocracy, and it was done by like subterfuge, and it was like a very big like a real attempt on their part, on the part of the oppressors, to kind of break the spirit of the people who are like, I always thought of it as being like the thing that people point to, going, yeah, you guys aren't allowed to be treated anymore, did this, you know? And it's kind of like something that's continuously like put forward as being like, this is why we don't like dragons, this is why the fire people, this is why fire types to be on the you know, it's why it's right that the fire types have exiled themselves. They shouldn't be allowed to live with normal people. Like, I'm wondering, how do you kind of feel about that?
Yeah, I mean that's definitely right. I mean the Dracocracy was overthrown. They were kind of retreated to the Dragon Isles, where they currently reside now, and are kind of the Dracocracy's still going on, but it's kind of just limited to the Dragon Isles now, and they're kind of just ruling over themselves, kind of just, and that could lead to something interesting, because if all the dragons were kind of in charge, who were they now in charge of? Do they turn on each other and start like ranking them their own kind, like greater or weaker than them? So that could be something I could explore. Maybe not in this campaign, maybe in a different one. But yeah, there would definitely be a hatred of fire Pokemon there, or Pokemon that can use. What I've actually wrote is it was destroyed towards the end of the rebellion by the fire Pokemon under orders from the Dracocracy.
Yeah.
To
like that's kind of how I feel about I think about it. And like this, like the big reveal, by the way, for those listening, is even though I'm playing a Rollet, my Rollet fire flying because the DM suggested it. I'm not looking for a special snowflake kind of character. The DM said, "Yo, do you want to be a fire Pokemon?" And I was like, "Yeah, fine, yeah, whatever." And okay, I'm not a Mary Sue. I am a fucking. I am a fantastic man. Don't. Anyway, yes. Yeah, like the big thing of this is just kind of be. It's like a great connotation of contrasts because the Pokemon that is seen as being like the Pokemon that's seen as being like the symbol of this kind of symbol, this thing of culture, the Habsham Wood, is also like a fire Pokemon. Who are the people who destroyed it? You know, and something else that we included was one of the parents is kind of like a leader of this faction within the city. Basically, like, yeah, we don't really want. Is it right that the fire Pokemon be in the Kingdom City anymore? No, but we should actually of where they are right now. We should take the fight to the Dragon Isles. You know, we need to finish the fight, basically. And yeah, like that kind of thing is very much what I'm like. Not really looking for, but look. Like that. That's me.
Yeah, no, I do kind of like the idea that there are people's like seeing the fire Pokemon exiling themselves was kind of a cop out. They kind of for what they did, for their role in it, by kind of taking themselves away. So we should go punish them. And I like that because I also
exactly
have
what people want.
Because I also have like fire Pokemon trying to come back into the community as well. Fire Pokemon who like don't see themselves as the fire Pokemon who did that, who want to come back into society and kind of try and get on with their lives. Like being within this community of the Kingdom City is a lot better than being like within the community of the Fire Island kind of thing.
Mm.
It's a better way of life in the Kingdom City. But obviously they're facing kind of they're facing opposition from the people who don't like them, and whether that's a good thing or a bad thing is entirely up to everyone's own perception, I suppose. Perspective. Sorry.
I'm trying to imagine what would be like the generalized, what would be the general perception of people like living in the world today regarding fire Pokemon in general? Like we I don't think it's really looked at, and I don't think it's really we really talked about it that much because it didn't really come up. But like, have you kind of thought about like how do people think about it? How do people think about like how the fire Pokemon treated them?
Oh, the newer generation that have been born within the last 50 years, since the rebellion ended and the fire Pokemon left, they kind of they understand like the hatred that their parents and grandparents feel towards them, but they don't feel that hatred towards them because they didn't experience what happened. But they understand the hatred towards them. So they're kind of stuck.
Okay.
They're kind of caught in that place where they don't hate them, but they're hated. I'm just writing here that the Decidueye and other residents of the forest fled to what is now known as the Kingdom City.
Okay, so that's kind of like where they came into, they kind of came into their own as being like part of the rebellion kind of thing.
Yeah, towards the end of it, they kind of Decidueye, I imagine, kind of took up arms, so to speak. I imagine the Decidueye kind of, because of what their role was, felt that they were kind of exempt or protected from what the Dracocracy were doing to the rest of the Wereldeil, just because of like their role of like the guiding the dead and all that, their like sacred role in the world. They felt that was kind of like some protection. But then this happened, and they knew that the Dracocracy had to go, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Now, how since this is your kind of idea, how would you feel about like within the last 50 years that they've been trying to kick off the regrowth of the woods?
I think that would be pimp. I think that would be a badass thing. Like, I think that it would be very. I think it would be very short, like kind of maybe a bit short-sighted, mainly because it would be, 50 years. That's a very, very small amount of time to try and rectify, the incredible like injustice and shit like that that would be occurring at that point.
I'm not meaning like the Habsham Woods are there. I'm meaning like they're making movements to like kind of regrow that area, repopulate that area, kind of thing, because because the weakness is between the worlds is still located there, so it is still a sacred area.
There's a camera. Oh, you want to see the internet? See us kiss? Okay. There we go. Apologies. My partner give no fuck. Yeah. That's why I like her. Sorry.
Sorry.
Wondering about how the Habsham Woods. Like, I legit think that that is legit. That's like almost exactly like the right way to think about it, because, people would try to rebuild. The question would be like, how useful would it be? How effective would it be? Some people, I think, it would be very fair to kind of say, some people would actually not. They would find it to be kind of maybe a bit gauche. It's like you're trying to fix something that's like broke beyond any kind of repair. Do you get what I mean? Like, it's kind of like you can't rebuild until the problems have been fixed, until people have been forced to pay. That kind of thing. That could be like a way of looking at it. But yeah, like, I think that would work. I think it would. I think it would actually be very cool and interesting to kind of have this different opinion. And actually, it would ironically give Wereldeil like kind of a bit of a more codified opinion of what's going on, as opposed to thinking about which was Wereldeil's kind of like doesn't care, but she's kind of a bit like flaky when it comes on to what her actual opinions are. Having the opinion of, no, we should focus on like building the Habsham Wood as opposed to like punching the shit out of some fire Pokemon. Like, that's a lot of that. I think that's a better way of looking at it. Yeah. I like it.
It was just because, as I said, the breach is still kind of there, and they still see it as like the easiest place to cross over for the dead to cross over there, and the Decidui would still feel that kind of that spiritual need for them to be there to guide them over there. So I've said that once the rebellion ended, a group of Decidui travelled back to the site to kind of rebuild and regrow.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think that's a good way of looking at it.
And continue their work as guides to the dead.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know whether I don't know whether you would say your mum was one of that group, or whether she's still at the Kingdom City plotting the downfall of all fire Pokemon everywhere.
I'm legit thinking that, like, I'm thinking that Wereldeil's mum is legit, like, straight up and down. She's like, fuck them fire Pokemon, we gotta end them. We gotta put them in their place, that kind of thing. Like, the thing that I originally put to you was very much like she's a clan member, basically. Like, she leads a grass supremacist group, and I kind of like I just kind of like wanted that kind of push of I liked that idea of kind of having a character who basically they're trying to be kind of nice and stuff like that, but also the winning side, and the winning side, like, they're fucked up because of the stuff that they've gone through. You know, there's a lot of stuff to do with scars in war and stuff like that, and we're like, the thing that I keep coming back to is just thinking about the the great overthrowing of the Dracocracy just strikes me as, yeah, this is like World War II, because like everything, not all the time, and like one of the big things that like came out was there was like a big push on the part of like the Allied forces, who just like, we need to put the Germans in their place because this happened before and now it's happened again. We need to like them to make sure that it don't happen again. You know, that kind of thing. But obviously the better angels won out.
Yeah.
And that because that was mostly because like the Dracocracy, that like people were really, really damaged by what the fuck had happened. You know, leaving aside the Holocaust and the other war crimes that the Axis powers had committed across the entire period, they had, like the Earth had kind of devolved into like really fucking savage. Atomic bomb was like seen at the time as being like, by some people, as being like the moment humanity had like pressed against God. Like, that was it. We were fucked beyond any kind of repair. And like, yeah, they wanted to blame the Germans for it. They wanted to have the Germans suffer for it, because from their point of view, if the Germans hadn't done this shit, it wouldn't be that big of a problem, I guess. And I guess, these people want to scapegoat, and similarly, they want a scapegoat, and the scapegoat happens to be these poor bastards known as the fire Pokemon, and the fire Pokemon are, like, whatever they do, whatever you want to say about them, they did benefit quite a bit from the Dracocracy, I think.
Yeah.
And they're a good scapegoat, and so they will be scapegoated.
No, definitely. It's just like, what will they do when they actually come across have to travel to the Fire Island and have to deal directly with the fire Pokemon? Bearing in mind that the ruling family of the fire Pokemon is the same ruling family that was leading them during the latter part of the Dracocracy, and led them in the
so there was no
self-exile.
change.
Nope.
Wow.
There's been no one stronger. The fire Pokemon kind of do it by strength. That's how they deal with their what's the, I can't remember what the word for that one is now. What the word for that kind of ruling?
There's a kind of a feudal system, yeah.
Yeah. So there's just not been anyone stronger. Like the ruler of the head of the ruling family is kind of like, he's over 50. he's probably about 78-year-old now, and he's still like the strongest fire Pokemon there. So,
Wow.
so you are probably gonna end up meeting him and or her. I haven't decided yet.
I'll be cacking my fucking pants.
Don't worry, I'm not gonna bring it all full circle and.
Oh man, you bastard. And we go like, "Are you my daddy?" And you'll be like, "Yeah, I'm your daddy."
No, I think that'd be too predictable.
Sorry.
Right.
Makes me laugh so much. Just to think.
I haven't actually written much in the history, but I think that's, although there's not much there, it covers well what it was used for and what happened to it during the rebellion. And I mean, I could write about like the history of what it was before the rebellion and how, but it was kind of just the same. I don't imagine it much kind of happened there beyond the status quo of like guiding the dead and that. I mean, I could look at how it became.
Good thing, but you said Wereldeil, like you said, like legit first city. It was like the only city that they created, before the Dracocracy, like, and then after the Dracocracy came in. But even before then, there wasn't like a concept of like cities, maybe even countries in general, So like they didn't have that level of civilization. So you could just literally say that it's kind of like Stonehenge, like nobody owns Stonehenge. It's just like this thing that used to exist when it was built, and when it was built, it may have been any number of things, but to everyone who's alive today, kind of thing, well, Stonehenge is just this thing that exists, and there's some druids, and they fuck around on it, and whoever wants to can kind of go along and be like, "Yo, can you give me like a blessing or something?" And then they go, "Okay." That's my druid voice, by the way.
Yeah. What I'm going to write is, no one alive today can remember the origins of the woods or when they were when it first kind of sprouted up, kind of thing. Or even when it became known as kind of the Forest of the Dead. Nobody can quite remember when that happened. They've just always known it as that. But so everyone kind of believes that when Wereldeil was created, that forest was just created at the same time. It was just created there. It's the God's will that it's kind of there, and that's where the weakness between the worlds is. So it's just Arceus's will that it's there. I mean, it's kind of the cop-out explanation that people of this world have when they can't explain something. Arceus wanted it that way.
It's like legit, almost straight up and down. We don't know why. Therefore, maybe there isn't really a reason, and it's just for a reason that's so far above our pay grade that's it. We can't think of a reason.
Yeah. Because in their world, nothing would be random. because everything was created, and if something's created, it's not. You don't create randomly. In their eyes, at least, there's always a reason why something's created. They just don't know it, and Arceus doesn't want to. Hasn't told them why it is, or they haven't figured out Arceus's reason why. But yeah, that's pretty much. So, I mean, that would be a genuine reason, wouldn't it? If you knew there was a God existed and he created there was a God that created everything. That God created everything for a reason. So even if you didn't know the reason, you would just say, "Well, God created it for a reason. I just don't know it."
Yeah. Like, I think that would actually be a real good thing. And it was also kind of like the reason why I was asking, like, about how do you feel about it? Because I feel like how people perceive the Habsham Woods maybe would throw maybe like a spanner in the works in relation to this kind of thing, because it is like a link to Giratina, and like from the other things you've kind of said that Giratina is seen as kind of being the antithesis, or maybe even like a version, like a version of like the devil, you know. So I was just wondering if maybe that was something to kind of consider, to worry about. But like, if that's not the case, you know.
But I suppose if they did see Giratina as kind of the devil, as kind of a
dark force that takes care
the
of
dark
death,
force,
you know,
they would be worried that there, but as far as they know, there's no way for Giratina to come through the breach, and they still see it as well. That breach must be there for a reason. Arceus, if he wanted to, could close that breach, but he hasn't, so there must be a reason why it's there. That's how they see it. Arceus is all powerful. Arceus has created this world. He can, if there's a breach there, he must want it there.
Yeah. Like,
so that sorry, I feel like I was getting a little forceful there with what I was saying, but no.
No, you're not. Like, I'm just listening to you, like listening to kind of like how you're thinking about it, and like, yeah, I can't help but agree. You know, the could be there's a lot of stuff to be put to there about like the metaphysics of it all. Like, why is Arceus kind of, you know, if Giratina is like this deep darky dude, you know, why deep dark bad force in the world? Why has Arceus kind of given him the job of taking care of dead people? You know, maybe it's a perception that isn't true. Maybe it's, you know, something that they don't really understand. You know, these kind of things. Yeah, like
that leads me to something, because in our world we have like scientists and researchers and all that looking at what makes nature work. So in this world, would there be like kind of religious scientists trying to figure out how Arceus made everything work, or why Arceus is making everything the way he has?
I mean, it really would depend on how you perceive the use of the scientific method, like legit, straight up and down. If you think the scientific method is something that would be like used and talked about, you know, if that's a thing that exists, then I guess, yeah, sure, why not? Yeah, like, why not?
Because I imagine kind of like our world, where there's people that like a religious believe God did all this, and there are people who question everything and don't believe God
Mhm.
did all this, or do believe that God did all this, but still want to know like the how behind it. I
Yeah.
kind of imagine there'd be some people like that that do believe Arceus did all this, but they want to know the how he did all this,
And I mean, that would
or even
certainly
just why.
be like a pimp way, a pimp like little bit to talk about. People who are, maybe members of the clergy or stuff like that would be kind of like asked those kinds of could be asked those kinds of questions really easily. Like, why has Arceus made it this way? I can't give you any fucking answers because, like, who the fuck knows?
No, I
The answer is Brian. Brian knows. RP Gamer, right there. So why?
I wish I did. I wish I did. It's all the problem with creating a world. You don't create the world with all the answers. You come up with them slowly. You have your cool concept, and then you decide, yeah, why is it all working like that?
Okay.
But yeah,
I have a
I have
question.
no idea. Yeah.
I have a question that is of vital importance.
Okay.
Do milk tanks sell their milk?
Um, yes, I am. Yeah, yeah, they do.
Oh, okay.
Why?
Like earlier on today, I went and I totally like gate crashed another stream, another streamer's stream, and through my vile machinations, I got everyone talking about different kinds of milk production and whether or not almond milk was better than cow milk. Everything is better than cow milk, but oat milk is the best oat milk. But in any case, like I just wanted to shitpost you. Sorry.
Oh, it's all right. It's a genuine question I've asked myself. Like, what do they eat?
Oh
Because
yeah.
it's mentioned in the Pokédexes in the anime that like they eat each other, but I've kind of got this world where everyone's kind of living together and that. So would they still eat each other, or would there be other things they eat? And I haven't come up with an answer yet. I don't want them eating each other, but I do. But I know some of them are aggressively meat eaters, so they would eat each other.
I mean, like you could go for the Mad Max approach, which is, I guess it's kind of like what you've done because, like, there are kind of seen as bad people in the world. You got the Dracocracy who see other races, others as being like lesser. And that's a pretty that's a pretty definitive kind of like aggressive. If you think of somebody as not being like, I guess you could say not being human in the way that you perceive humanity, you're gonna like not respect their right to being alive in the same way, and as a result, like you would kill and eat them. I mean, there would be something of interest to the idea of there being like two different kinds of Pokemon. Like, imagine like a feral Pokemon type, a feral type of Pokemon, a Pokemon that is like not destructive, but just kind of like because they think of only their race as being only their being as being like truly real or alive or whatever, they would just straight up and down be chill with killing and eating people.
I did think about making certain like Pokemon kind of not sentient.
Mm-hmm.
So that would kind of, it wouldn't make it all right, but it would kind of ease the thing of, yeah, they're just eating animals like we eat animals, kind of thing.
Mm.
But maybe like the fish Pokemon aren't intelligent, or so they eat fish, or the merchant, so they eat Mareep.
Oi, you stay away from the reap. I will gut you.
No,
Them fighting words.
maybe
Yeah,
even
like
the
I can do that.
insect Pokemon, maybe even the insect Pokemon are seen as.
I mean, yeah. An alternative is that you could make them kind of like almost unilaterally vegetarian, or vegan, in the kind of sense of yes, they can eat meat. They are omnivorous, but they decide not to.
I could, I could kind of. That would be kind of similar to kind of Zootopia's way of doing it. That they are meat eaters, but they kind of chose to live with the herbivores, so they've kind of found alternatives.
And like, I mean, I wasn't specifically thinking about Zootopia. I was actually thinking about Madagascar, but
Yeah.
you know, still
Oh yeah.
just as good. And yeah, like I agree with that. I agree with that kind of assumption, that kind of work, because yeah, it would. In my opinion, it would actually make a lot of sense to have that kind of relationship involved.
And
Maybe.
that that would also add to the making it harder for the fire and the dragon Pokemon to reintegrate back into the society if they ever did at a future point, because they sort of saw everyone else as lesser and did kind of eat them, kind of thing. I imagine even the fire Pokemon kind of maybe partook in eating of the lesser species to an extent.
Mm.
Maybe somewhere down the line, the fire Pokemon were also seen as lesser species, and they were attacked and killed and eaten by the dragons. But I don't know. I want to find some way of making the fire Pokemon sympathetic.
Yeah, like the overwhelming thing that I want to do is I'm very aware that you've made a world that isn't entirely surrounding my character, the character that I'm creating, you know? And I'm very aware of just the very simple fact that like you're going to like sit that you're going to like say, oh, here's here's the fire Pokemon and they have exiled themselves. But then if I turned around and I went like, here is a thing that the fire Pokemon did, and it's not like, oh, it's not really their fault or whatever. It's legit, straight up and down. And this is like one of the results. It becomes really, really hard to then turn around and go, like this guy's likable. It can very easily just like be tilted back over to being a bit too much, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of happy with where I am with the dragons being like we're the Dracocracy. We still are the Dracocracy. if you let us back on into Wereldeil, we'd more than likely at least try to take over again, because that's just the way we are. We'll always try and be the biggest and the best, and that. And even amongst themselves, they're probably fighting to see who rules amongst themselves, and like, is one dragon better than the other dragon, kind of thing. That's what you'll probably find if you went to the Dragon Islands, that they're probably infighting and spent the last 50 years trying to figure out who the strongest dragon is and who should be the lesser one. And you may go there and you may find like dragon Pokemon that are enslaving other dragon Pokemon, because they need that. They need to feel that I'm in charge, that they had.
I think that that's a very kind of that's a really powerful image. I'm just telling you right now. Like at the moment, like is kind of like doing its own thing of like being sunshines and rainbows, and we're building things up. And over on the Dragon Isles, it's like a fucking hellscape of fire and brimstone, and there's just like a dragon standing on the fucking corner, like beasting it, just smashing people down, and they're like sitting there going, "I will defeat you," and they just go. Like I love the idea of that. I just yeah,
because I don't imagine they would, like, the one who was completely in charge, the head of the Dracocracy. I imagine when like it was taken away from him, he didn't see that it was taken away from him. He's kind of kept that belief that he's the one in charge, so everyone else is under him. And because there's no one under the dragons, everybody under him, like how it was everybody under the dragons was subservient to the Dracocracy, but now there's only the dragons left. Everybody under him is subservient to him, even if they are dragons, because so he needs somebody to rule over.
So, do they also use like a feudal, like a martial system of thing? It's like single combat. If you're stronger than me, you rule. Or do they kind of use something else?
It was that at the start, before they became before it became the Dracocracy and before they took over, it was kind of like the strongest dragon was in charge, and that's how the leader of the Dracocracy became the leader. He killed his father in combat, and then he started uniting all the dragon tribes, and they created the Dracocracy. But now it's kind of became a thing of, well, I was in charge of the Dracocracy, so I should still be in charge, kind of thing. He's not being challenged because everyone else just assumes that, well, you were in charge of it, so you still are in charge of it. No one stepped up to challenge him since the fall of the Dracocracy. Well, actually, not the fall of it. He's spun it that it's not the fall of
like
the Dracocracy.
Great change before this change.
Yeah. He's kind of spun it that we've just kind of relocated here, and we are going to go back eventually to retake it. But whether they do or not is, but I can imagine there's a lot of dragons that are probably growing a bit of seeing how it's become and growing a bit weary of him as the leader, and that. So I imagine it could probably boil over soon into a leadership battle, or a literal leadership battle. But yeah, That's all. Whether that'll come up in this campaign, I don't know. I don't want to say everything's going to. I don't want to say everything's going to come up in this campaign, because that'll be a lot to shove into a campaign. But we'll see. Just depends at where you end up, at what point you end up there. Yeah, I definitely want you going to. I'm definitely going to have you going to, like, the land of the dead to at least speak to Giratina. Whether you fight him or not, it's entirely up to you.
I'm going to fight him.
I'm
going to go like, yo, 1v1 me, bro. And he's going to look at me. I'm going to go, oh, no, I'm okay.
I imagine the fire Pokemon are going to come into it, because that kind of has to do with your backstory.
Yeah, like I pretty much latched onto that as soon as I saw it in like the brief that you put out. Just the idea that the fire Pokemon are kind of like this exiled group. Yeah. But what I'm like, something that I want to say is something that I want to have as like as part of my group isn't kind of like, I don't want to spend the whole time just shitting on the fire Pokemon. I kind of see my character as being like interested in, I guess you could say, growing and healing the wounds of things.
Yeah, trying to sort of bring the not necessarily bring the fire Pokemon back, but kind of just like show that they're probably not as evil as everyone's remembering them, and just to move on, kind of thing.
Like, I legit don't know how I would want to put it. The main thing that I would kind of say, like, what Wereldeil has come across in her life is like the rhetoric that her family puts forward, which is the fire Pokemon like try to annihilate us. They try to wipe us off the face of the fucking earth, and they're not good people. They're not bad people. It doesn't matter whether or not they are good or bad people. What matters is that they try to kill us. They try to wipe us out, and it's us or them. So from her point of view, from Wereldeil's point of view, kind of like, it's no, we live in a society now. Fuck off. Like, we're like, legit, stop trying to off people, because that's just going to put you on a hiding to nothing. Like, that's kind of Wereldeil's opinion. So it's kind of this thing of like, she's not actually that interested in having the conversation of whether or not the fire Pokemon deserve to suffer, because from her point of view, they are suffering. Like, from her point of view, that's not like a subject to be discussed, because to her, what people are describing as them having to suffer or pay for their crimes is, they're basically saying they need to die. They need to stop existing, because that's how she thinks people are, like, that's the way people are going. That's the way that people want it to go. As like how
they've kind of been chucked out of society, so that's really the only other point left now.
Yeah.
How much further could you punish them?
Like, yeah, like that's kind of how I'm seeing it. I'm legit not absolutely clear if that's like the right way of looking at it, or even a good way of looking at it, because it might actually be like really, like, that could very easily be like a bit of a, I guess you could say, a bit of a problematic viewpoint to take of it, because, like, well, congratulations, you've got Pokemon that are like You've got the fire Pokemon, but then it's kind of like, well, do you think that does Rawley think that she shouldn't have, that there shouldn't be any restitution? Like the point of, I think that that's going to kind of be the point to bring up in the game itself, you know?
Yeah.
I don't think is like she just find her way in life kind of thing, and stuck under her monthly years. Like that's kind of the thing. Say that's probably why she why she took part in the inciting incident, like almost straight up and down. She just straight up did not want to fuck around, just wanted to get out from under her mum's thumb. That was it.
Okay. And on that note, I've actually noticed we're coming up on an hour and a half, so I'm gonna end the stream here.
Oh, bugger me.
And yeah, I'm gonna end the stream here. So everyone, if you like this, then like it, comment, and subscribe. And well, yeah, and I'll be posting a video tomorrow, all week. So bye.
Bye-bye.